Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 14 of Illium, our modded CS1 build. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Really enjoyed this factory complex last episode that helped us satisfy some much needed industrial demand, and indeed there is still quite a bit of it, so more industry is still needed. However, in today's episode, I'd like to make a push back down the couplet system to develop a social housing district. Very much satisfying a medium density residential build for us, as we bid to bring in 4,000 more sims to hit the population milestone that will allow us to begin our downtown road network frame. And for this I think we can have a lot of fun with Move It and Brooklyn and Queens, and we'll also take inspiration from Brooklyn today as well. But either way, welcome back to Illium everyone, and happy Monday to you all. Alright guys, so I don't envision today's build being absolutely vast, but certainly these Brooklyn and Queen kind of developments, different shaped tower blocks, lots of sports pitches, and indeed just googling some inspiration for today, I came across a picture on the New York Times of just one of these developments, I think in Queens. Unfortunately I had to pay for the rest of the article so I couldn't see exactly where it was, but it was super inspiring just as to how we can have, I think, some pathways flowing in between these little housing developments. So we'll start mapping out some roads here. I do want a couple of entry points back onto the couplet system, so I'll account for those, something like this. And then this area here as well, we are beginning to run into some terrain challenges here with the embankment of the road. I think I want to leave quite a bit of distance off of that arterial as well. Essentially there's a bit of frontage, so I'm just going to leave that road there, so I know just not to go too close to this road. And it's likely it'll probably connect to here as well, so let's do 20 units, somewhere about there. So don't want to go beyond this arterial, that's very much veering into downtown road network territory through this way. And then we can finish off these ones down here. Super, so something like that, and just to continue to help the traffic, I think we're going to bring cycling through here as well. Now, I guess I don't mind this being 3-lane, perhaps a little chunkier than I wanted it to be. But it is the same sort of roads we're using down here, so I'm happy to use them. Cycling probably will continue all the way down here as well, because I'm planning for this to be downgraded to this sort of road as well. The downtown flows all through this area. Super, and we'll of course develop this into something a bit more impressive during that road network episode, but right now it can just stay like that. So let's give ourselves a little district name here next to Plymouth Slopes and name it. And we've also named this Box Heights after our wonderful patron, Box Office. Thank you for your support, mate. I hope this episode does indeed end up being Box Office. So if you're on vanilla here, of course set your zoning style to Brooklyn and Queens, is what we'll be using today. But I'll be using a few different styles, so I'll be plopping for the most part. But first of all, let's discuss the key visual for our high density development here. So just find it, you can scroll down to our Brooklyn and Queens, or you can filter for it. And then I'd like to find an asset that fuses nicely into a triangle, I think. The big 4x4 units I'll probably use on their own. But I want something a little bit thinner. I think maybe something like this. So I want 3 of them. I think maybe I'll just put them together on the back end like this. I'm really trying to form a bit of a, a bit of a star or a triangle here, I suppose. Until I think I have something that looks a little bit like that, which I'm going to be a fan of. And then with these, we'll take all 3 of them. Now we're probably going to have to do quite a bit of spawn point work here, but I'll try and make sure at least 2 are friendly to the road. So those guys will survive, you certainly will not. The building spawn point mod can fix this issue. You can bring this down here. You can literally just click and drag it. This is the point of which everything is handled for the building, so disaster response, garbage, healthcare, etc. So if they can reach it here, then this one will be fine. If you're not familiar with the building spawn points mod, it's quite a good one. Allows you to do some much more interesting things, I think. Terrain here just wants to be evened out. We are on a slight gradient, so ignore any horrific terrain jank. It will be tidied up during the time lapse, of course. Super. So I like that. Let's have another one. I'm going to change the orientation here every time slightly. And then really referencing that picture that I pulled up at the start of the episode and likely editing Aggie showing to us again. Just these little pathways that are going to cut through this development. Have them connect to different areas. Do view here. And then I'll also cut one across the front of the building. In that way it'll make the space look a little more authentic, won't it? And then also use our concrete brush just to tidy this up. There is going to be quite a bit of green space around here, so I think I have license to concrete where I want it against the road. And I think there'll be a few fun little things we can do with this as well. In terms of things we can squeeze into these little concrete spaces here. Parking, fountains, little hot dog stands, etc. Be quite fun. And then we'll do one more down here. That should be fine. Now we could use the intersection marking tool here to draw in the fence, which would certainly save on nodes and probably something I should do, to be honest. And I just want this to be the very basic park fence. And we'll roll it off the pathway so it's sat on the grass. Then I'll pretty much copy this style. But it actually doesn't like sitting on the corners there, does it? Okay, no, I actually won't use intersection marking tool for this then. I'll have to use it somewhere else though, because this will be pretty node intensive, but Illium shouldn't hit any node issues. Pretty sure I actually opened this series by saying this series will never hit the node count, so I have to stay true to that. But either way, this is going to be our visual. So I just want these fences running alongside these little areas. Exactly like that image we saw. If anyone does actually know where this is from in Brooklyn or Queens, do leave it down in the comments below. And then we'll certainly come in with lots of big trees through here. One oak, shade, possibly palms as well. Palms might be a bit of a clash, but we'll give them a go. Let's not neglect our vanilla brethren as well. I actually think maybe the jacaranda's a bit too much. I think I just want like really basic looking green trees here. And I think this will just be a really nice way, looking at Brooklyn itself as a way to use these assets as to how they actually sit from where they're based, right? Prince Tower here. Box Heights, which is actually a perfect name for this, I guess, kind of social state housing development, right? Because they are pretty boxy. I just love that. Isn't that so simple? Like, just the expanded concrete space and, like, the very kind of hemmed-in vibe. It's such a cool visual. It's a really fun way to use Brooklyn and Queens, I think. I'm going to be happy with that. In terms of what else I want to sit around here, we'll grab the rest of these and then work them into where I want them to sit. Maybe have another one over here. And if you are doing this in vanilla, you could very easily just do this by keeping your zone-ins very tight and then playing clever with the zoning. You won't get quite the same visual, of course. Move It does allow for quite a bit more. But you can still give it a go if you want. And then the last one over there as well. Cool. Might even, just to make my life easier down this end of the development, grabbing all nodes, we will come down to the height of the building here instead. Which will slightly recess us against the highway, but I don't really mind that. I'm always grateful for a layer, I think, these days. So we'll have that there. And we'll do many different combinations of these as well. We'll have a go at a few more down this end in a second. But to address a bit of a park and service centre, so people over here are happy. I think certainly a school campus in the middle of here. Which Yeah, we actually do need a high school already, so that's kind of perfect timing, really. So we'll grab, has to be American football, I think, doesn't it? I think this has to be. And we'll have this based in and around our main road here, I think. Just wondering, do I want to bring this one up to 4-lane? Because we've got high density residential here. This is going to get busy. I think we will. I think we'll have it here. We'll have our football pitch there. And then I think there's the school, the obvious choice is the vanilla one, isn't it? Because it's red brick. Which is going to be the vibe for me. And speaking of further red brick buildings, while we're talking of services and education, let's also grab the red brick fire station. Which I think will sit nicely there. Yeah, it's of the vibe, isn't it? And we'll do police as well. Again, using the red brick one. And I'll use the space around these, I think, to form up some extra detailed yards. Police vehicles parked up, etc. Or at least police vans using the plazas and promenade prep. And then I think here as well, because I do want obviously some commercial, the bodegas, I think they're called, aren't they, in Brooklyn? And like the local shop where you can buy kind of a chopped cheese, etc. I believe it's called. My time I spent looking at Google Earth and YouTube. But these older brick buildings from emerging downtowns, I think are going to be very much part of my aesthetic here today. So let's create some little blocks of these. So using the older ones, I'm not after these things today. Which I think is where you can run into a bit of an issue with the zoning, which is why I'm plopping in this particular instance. Yes, especially this corner unit. This is like Bodega City, isn't it? It really is. And if I can pull it up to the side, I wonder if we can almost fuse in the edge there. Then I can use that to create these little alleyways again. Right? So when people are walking home, you're walking past lots of old red brick back up to these developments. You can stop and grab a chopped cheese and a pack of smokes. And then head home to play City Skylines in your state housing. It's the dream, isn't it? It is the dream. So I think emerging downtowns will settle in quite nicely with Brooklyn and Queens here, won't it? Just from our street perspective too. Is anyone picking up the cycling yet? No, traffic's picking up the roundabout though. Oh look at that, we've got people walking on the inside. Isn't that interesting? Very dangerous. I would not walk on that central reservation. But they're allowed, I suppose. Possibly actually highlighting the need for cycling infrastructure to come down here. Which I think I will do, because there's obviously people walking back and to work, isn't there? And then also here, whilst we remember it, I did say I also wanted metro coming down this way as well. So we'll have a look at metro and bus. There's a very small segment there. Also a good time when you're doing these road upgrades, just to make sure there are no awkward segments that might come back to bite us, getting sims stuck in the late game once our simulation inevitably starts to collapse. Right, that takes them up to there, and then also down here as well. Not sure if I want it to come down this way just yet. This way does still need some extra help. These roads are busy. Still, they're better than they were, but they are still busy. So metro, bike and bus are only going to serve to help that, aren't they? So let's come into our metro then. So with our metro station, I think the regular one is going to be fine. I think the underground stations from Bad Peanut and the rest of the packs, which I really do like, just a bit over-engineered for what I want. I'm after kind of like small, kind of gritty, perhaps also slightly flooded metro stations as well for this vibe. So what's going on? We have a line here that's actually not currently active, is it? So it's going to go 2 different directions, I think. We'll split a line off that runs this way, and then this one will cut through downtown. likely with another one also running here. So we'll have 3 parallel metro spanning off in different direction. And of course eventually colliding with the central transit centre here at some point. But there will be another line here. So we'll have this by pitch and school. But also probably like another one in the suburb. Kind of a east and west side of Box Heights station setup. There will be a station down here, but we'll wait for the downtown road network to place that one. And then I'll definitely have one by the factory complex as well. Which could possibly be a harder placement. Maybe in here. And I'll just tidy this up. But so I'm hoping that alone might take quite a bit of traffic off the road, you know. And then this one here. I think you do want to plug into the coupler system there? Possibly. I think so. Although I think actually only one way. I don't want them turning here. You can go back to a major junction. And then I will node control this to be a little straighter. Something like that looks good. And then let's hook the metro in with tunnels. Super. So now we can turn on the city's first metro line, which isn't actually active until 34,000 population, which is quite a bit higher than it normally would be before we see a metro in an egg build. Illium's developing slightly differently, which I like. So this line will start here, it won't go back, and the other line will also pass directly through this station, of course, serving what is essentially the main line, while this little one diverges off. But it's not the first metro line, is it? We already have one. Idiot egg, there's already one over here. Of course. Death care is probably a problem this side of the city, is it? Probably is. I might stick crematorium memorial parking with the school campus. See if we can blend that in as maybe an art building for the school, maybe. Maybe they had a big commission. Metro's running and already picking up, which is grand to see. We also had people in the comments, a rare police force actually, the taxi police, begging me to place more taxi infrastructure. So I'll do just that. And you know what, actually, I reckon a taxi depot actually might work quite nicely in and amongst the Brooklyn and Queens vibe. I think we might go for that. Might put them here, give them a little fuse in, and then we can use that same fence in our detour and time lapse to just create a little entrance for them, I think. Very nice. And then I'll also have a couple of taxi stands just to help, honestly, kind of more decorate the front of the metro station than anything. Tends to be how I use these. See you bus driving past. Would you like to stop here? I think you would. Oh wait, where are you going? Why did you go that way? Either way, this bus line, how's it doing? Do we need a new bus line, or does this one want to come into the suburb? God, it's busy, isn't it? 445 people here? Jeepers. That is a lot. This is really big. 304? Damn. There's a lot of people in this suburb relying on that bus. So, I mean, do we just want to bring it straight through? I think I probably do. It's already coming down here. I don't think I want another bus hub over here. So in that instance, when it's coming... Oh, I don't know. I think it probably warrants a second bus line, I think, doesn't it? Because this one's already so busy. If I'm just going to slam it even further. I think what I will do, we're going to change its trajectory slightly. It's going to come in... I think what we will do is just slightly change the direction. So it's going to come into this suburb. So it can grab the metro. And also come in this way as well. That way you totally get off the couplet system. And just arrive from this bus plaza, which hopefully is getting insanely busy now. 720 in a week. Yeah, that's the bus line up to Plymouth Slopes, isn't it? You can tell the suburb where all the residential is, can't you? And that's good though. Monorail's heaving as well. Let's check out this line while we're on the subject. Nice 150 at this start now. Brilliant. Look at all the walking, everyone. Look at that. Isn't that so fun to see a fully interconnected transit? You can arrive from ferry, monorail, take the monorail up to a hub where you can then transfer to a bus, which then takes you out into all these little orbital sites. Big fan of how this hub has worked out. And of course, there's still so many more bus lines to plug in here as well, isn't there? Pretty special. What happens if I upgrade that segment to 4-lane, just where we have the bus stop? Does that look good? Can I deal with that? I think so. I think I like having the pedestrian crossings there by the station, actually. I think I will do that. Fantastic. Let's carry on with our school campus before we got distracted with public transit in Brooklyn and Queens. I'll have that on there. And this one, of course, will need a road. So I think I'll just use this one here. Bring it up until it's connected. Really starting to eat in some terrain here now. This road probably won't end up being used, so I can afford to eat into it a little bit, just for some soften. Super. And then just like with pretty much everything else around this build, I'd also like to have some pathways that connect into all the little buildings here. And I wouldn't mind also bringing in perhaps a childcare building in here too. Perhaps maybe as a bit of a nursery for the campus. It looks like we can blend that quite nicely in there, actually. Yes. Yeah, I think I'm going to be on board with that. So there's a trick here we can do to make some fake bleachers, which I'll show you. Something we did in Thessia quite a while ago. So we want to come into our part props, and we're after a particular bench. It's the campus one, this one here, the trade school bench. And then what we want to do is we can place this in fence mode, so we get back to back. And then we can place these here like this. We can grab them. We can duplicate them. And then with prop control, we can just elevate them a little bit until they're roughly up against the seats in front of them. And you can place them again and do the same thing. Just until you're happy with the general pattern. I'll go with something like that. This, of course, will give you a bleacher in vanilla. And then once we have this, we can take it to where we like. Let's say within view of the pitch at least would probably be helpful. Let's actually not have it where they're walking onto the pitch. And then we can duplicate that. Find another happy spot for it. And then we can just create these blizzard rituals. Although they are slightly off the ground there. Make sure that they're not floating. Something like that. Cool. So we can have these around our pitches if we want. I think it just adds a little bit more to them. And then we can also keep duplicating them. And then eventually just put something behind them almost as like a stand. Probably feed props in here. Probably just use a street lamp, right? Have a street lamp behind them. Bring them up to the street lamp. And then we can have some at least official asset bleachers. Which I think can be quite nice additions to pitches. So this is coming along quite nicely. Let's return to some more Brooklyn and Queen residential designs here. I wouldn't also mind some row home blocks available here too. So returning to our residential designs, and also remembering the grander crawling height of the city here. We are on the crawl to the downtown, very much how we have these little pops of, I guess, medium density along the way. So as we move closer toward this arterial, i.e. close to the downtown, I think I'd like to try some chunky blocks of the 4x4s. We'll have them here. This is definitely one of the more achievable zoning patterns if you are totally vanilla here. But a nice 4x4 blocks, I think, will make us quite a nice transition here. These should look pretty sweet from the road as well. Just these much wider residential buildings. Let's pick out another one. We'll do... try and get some variation in them. Let's do 2 of these. Back to back instead. So this is a 3x4 asset. And we'll run this one up. Just try and maximize the total space we have here. which will actually give us a little courtyard right in the middle, which is accessible. Guess maybe it could be bins out here or something. But just a slight variation to the block next to it. Different angles. I make all this very walkable and connected into this, all this cycling infrastructure here too. Cool, like them. Let's have a few more of them. Don't want all massive blocks either. We will just have some single developments. Let's see if we can change up the shape of the building here a little bit. I do want some variation. We have one here. Another one on the corner. Another one over. Do we really want them on the main road? Probably not. It is one directional, that, isn't it? So I'll just have another one there. And then just some slight angle adjustments onto our corners, and then we can bring lots of that fenced in walkable pathway around the back of these as well, which is really a visual I want through this whole district, really. Many more sports pitches in here too. We'll definitely grab our basketball courts. These will always go very nicely here. Let's place a few of them. And then either more, I guess, kind of concrete based parks, so possibly a skating park. I think will go quite nicely in here. Snowfall assets, I mean, how do these even look in this theme? Gone very white. No. Absolutely not. Not here. Certainly wouldn't mind the sidewalk cafe as well. Especially when we leave this to be the old pizza place. Right, I guess it's coffee in this instance. Again, it's more red brick, right? And it also settles in with the pathway that links all our little areas together here as well, I think. Super. So all these are coming in. Buses are getting busier. Bus line is really horrendously busy. Hopefully the metro and the other downtown networks will take pressure off of that at some point. But how far are we now from our next milestone? Really close, just 1,000 more people to go. Which we'll probably hit with these developments. But let's have a look at some row home ideas, I think, here now. Again, which will be respecting the height, because we'll have smaller buildings here, gradually climbing up as we look this direction. So talking on our row housing, I've just set up a filter for Brooklyn and Queens, and then gone down to 1x2s, which pretty much brings up all the row home variants. There's a couple of 1x1s, but these are pretty dinky. I do want at least a little bit of depth to them. So 1x2 is our filter, and we can place these in multiple rows. There's a few different variants of them, but I really love these ones with the stairs on the side. I think I'm going to place them in instances of 5. And I'll repeat that this side as well. This road behind me, we don't want there. It's just there as our boundary, wasn't it? And then with this little area we end up behind them, there's a reason I've left the gap here. I'm just going to flatten this off to the same height as the houses. And then create what is essentially going to be a bit of a back alleyway for them. I'm going to run more of my concrete path and fence aesthetic through the area as well. And there's loads of different ways we can detail the back of these. I think all I want to do here is just go for a simple row of parking spaces. Maybe even one of the disabled ones here. Just a couple of rows of these. And I'll copy and paste them. Just behind every block. And then I reckon also a couple of little trash containers. Maybe some of this garbage pile stuff as well. And I'll just grab those. And then we can stick them in here as well. Cool. And then I wouldn't mind road access down, but I don't really want people walking on this road, to be honest. Although then, is it going to become cycling lane? It already runs down here. No, I think I'm going to keep the cycle on this arterial here. I'm not going to bring it down this way. At least for right now. And then I think just a simple outline. I don't want the full thick forest here to sit between that collector couplet This residential district. Okay. And then we essentially mimic the same thing here on the back side. Just making sure our assets, our next road would be here, wouldn't it? I actually wondered just how is that going to handle the terrain change. It shouldn't be too bad, I don't think, because they're so close anyway. Any serious jank is probably going to be hidden. And I think from the grander crawling height, right, as we have these row homes probably filling everything from the left of the school here, we're going to get this like mini climbing height as the rows climb the gradient as part of the skyline, which I think will be really nice. I'm noticing there's quite a lot of garbage trucks on this road, which makes sense because there's 3 recycling centres there. I've just noticed, I wonder if I can add in a little kind of industrial one-way kind of workers road only relief road here for those garbage trucks to get into the suburb. I don't want it 2-directional. Then again, 2-directional could be quite handy actually. It also offers another people a way back in without having to keep clogging the junction down there either. But that should certainly take a lot of the garbage trucks out of this traffic if they can come down this way. Yeah, they're entering the suburb down this way now. Okay, well we'll see if that has an impact. And these directions are certainly better than they were. So this one is still the busiest. There's no other connection I can really offer you out of this suburb, is there? I'm hoping once that metro line becomes active, and we have the hubs built and satisfied around here, pressure will continue to ease. We'll see. Let's get the next row of these houses in. I think also, I'm going to carry on doing this around the whole corporate system, I think. Just these little relief slip roads that allow access back onto a national network from inside a suburb. Sort of similar to what we've done over here with this one directionality access. We'll keep it going through the whole corporate system, I think. Hoping to serve to take pressure off of these major intersections. So not everyone has to come through them if they want to get out. Same sort of process here, I suppose, as well, isn't it? So, we'll see how that goes. But otherwise, I think we've got some ideas to flesh out here now. We'll definitely do a few more triangular developments. I'm really enjoying this design here. And I get them more detailed as well with props, hot dogs, benches, sports, and lots of recreation as we look to complete our first medium density housing development. Very much at the foot of an eventual skyline here. Either way, grab some snacks and we'll be right back with some detailing. Alright guys, let's have a little detailed review, shall we, of what has become possibly my favourite ever use of Brooklyn and Queens, especially this bit on the right here. We'll get to it. Our row home district is in and sits very nicely up against the arterial. We'll follow it down, of course respecting a gradual gradient up to the larger buildings up here. Through this space there's concrete around the back of them like we did during the episode. You can get some nice sight lines down these alleyways actually. From the arterial road, which I really appreciate. Love seeing the stairs down there, right? Nice row home sort of tenement buildings. Over here, more buildings, park space, also chucked in the new Queen of Hearts park at a slightly cracked orientation, which is a really fun building, this park. Very geometric, lots of nice sharp angles in it, isn't there? So I really like it. I think it's pretty fun. Two of these back to back, expanded the park around it to be what's in the asset, linden and jacaranda. And then more patterns up here using the fenced in vanilla pathway aesthetic. Our little town centre here has become very busy, especially thanks to the introduction of a pathway that's taken them back to Plymouth Slopes. Lots of people grabbing the bus here as well. This bus line is absolutely insane. In fact, I probably need to add some more buses onto it. So we got 760 over here. It was 800 during the detailing. And then there's several other stops, all of which feature several hundred people. So it's probably due an extra vehicle or two. There's currently 16. I mean, we've got over 1,000 people waiting, which is quite a lot, closer to 1,500 really. So let's do 25. We'll see what a dent that makes, I think. As those vehicles come and join the line anyway. But over here, out of the Brooklyn and Queens stuff, there's more emerging downtowns, which is such a compliment to each other, isn't it? Great example of it right here. Just a bit of commercial, which also doubles as kind of like mixed use here as well. Kind of like cheap mixed use accommodation, right? With these assets also here. Concrete around the station. Which isn't getting an enormous amount of use just yet, but it only really has one stop on it, so it has to go elsewhere really for it to get busier. But they really love the buses, don't they? And that pathway is like so busy. So that's amazing. Love to see a good bit of walking porn in the suburb here. Around here, lots of concrete space just to respect the front of different buildings, and a really nice campus combination here. Some detailing with green space in between those plaza areas. The street looks really cute down the main road here. A nice curvature, just using Move It to join all the edges of the buildings together, so we don't get the cracks in between. And it really complements the older vibe, doesn't it? Older social housing kind of main street here. Again, places for chopped cheese, etc. Sort of vibe down here. Fire station and our services sitting very nicely. As we come into what is my favourite bit of the build today, this whole tenement complex. I'm so happy I found that picture on Google. I'm truly just inspired on that. If you're kind of looking down some of the alleyways here as well of what we see with people walking between these blocks, it's super similar to what we saw from our source of inspiration. I'd love using Brooklyn and Queens like this. There's also several little props scattered throughout these areas as well. Benches, there's a little fountain over here. There's parking scattered in between them, joining onto that concrete surface again that surrounds these tenement blocks. Little bird bath and bench configurations there. So just really fun. Like really like these like triangular sort of, I guess, tri-end setups, and with the fusion of these assets. And it's also put us over the population milestone as well. We hit it during the detailing time lapse, which is nice. And then through here we also have a med clinic which was dropped in. Classic corner asset with a reforming of parks and introduction of a pond. Just to kind of basically surround this whole suburb with green belt. There's some more kind of transitionary belt over here as well. That just kind of introduces into these tenement sections. And that all kind of settles in really nicely against this existing couplet system. And I think we can see how the rest of the downtown Illium builds will be carved out from the current existing road frames, exactly like this one has been today. As we're very much moving up into a medium density area here. And then also down here by the taxi depots, just a path behind some vanilla commercial. And then a hedge line as that very dramatic double oak lined couplet system now cuts between both suburbs. With a really cool view actually. That's the first time I've seen the factories from here. Isn't that nice? I really like that. So I'll go ahead and check out that from last episode as well. Always check out the previous builds. Looks like there's a few people beginning to take this. We'll check our ridership figure. 192 is not bad at all for an industrial site. But that will immediately stop all of them actually walking down the couplet. And it doesn't seem to be too many cycling. Not at all. In fact, the networks are crossing there, aren't they? I need to fix that. See, this is why we always go back and check the previous build, isn't it? It's a very short segment there as well. Yep, not crossing over anymore. So there's not too many cycling down this way, the occasional person. But I imagine the metro is giving them another way back into civilization from the factory district at least. And I think that pretty much rounds up our detailing review for, as I said, what is probably my favourite use of Brooklyn and Queens we've done on the channel so far. A wonderful medium density district with hopefully some ideas to walk away with here. Just a simple Google search for imagery of the assets you're using can inspire a whole suburb, exactly like it has here for me. Simple Brooklyn and Queens, park fence and vanilla path might be one of my favourite aesthetics we've ever put together for a residential design in City Skylines. Hope you agree and indeed managed to enjoy the episode. And an enormous shout out to the YouTube members and patrons that bankroll these videos with a roll call to our golden patronex: Casino, Spartan Angel, Michael W, Bad Wolf, Phoenix MD, Blythe, Jamin, and Great C. Thank you so much, guys, for your incredible support. You're all just insane, to be quite honest. If you want to get involved in that, the links are in the video description, and likes on this video really help them get to more people on YouTube. So leave them if indeed you are so gracious. Otherwise, enjoy the cinematics, and I'll shut up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.